Hi! For my second career profile, I actually decided to draw on experience I have personally from a career I already held and know that I could have earned more money had I had a degree, especially in this specific field. Before serving a mission, I worked as a professional nanny, and that it was a very rewarding career. I did interview for a few jobs where they were very specific that they wanted somebody with a college degree, and I was not able to get those jobs because I didn't have one. And I can also tell you that the pay is significantly better for those who have a degree. Personally, originally I worked overseas as an au pair, and that did not pay very well, but the benefits were free room and board, food, car, insurance, travel, all of that was covered. And so for someone looking to see the world and have a means to do it and make a little money, that was a really great option. I went to New Zealand, and it was a wonderful life experience, and I still keep in touch with the children that I worked with at the time. It was really worthwhile, even though the money wasn't very good. When I returned home and I was actually saving for a mission, I was earning originally, as I started, about $8 an hour, and by the time I finished, closer to $10 an hour. But in doing research and from experience, I can tell you that in more affluent areas and for people with college degrees and lots of experience, you can earn upwards of over $20 an hour, which comes to more than $50,000 a year. So that is the opposite end of the spectrum as far as income. Starting income for someone without a degree and without much experience is probably closer to $20,000, a little bit under $20,000 even. So typical stressors can be just the fact that every child is different, every child has different needs, different wants, and when there's siblings to take into account, you want to try to be fair with all of the children, but you have to acknowledge that each child learns differently, reacts differently, has a different frame of opinions and experiences, even though they come from the same family. So it can always be a challenge. Plus, every child inherently has a unique personality, and it can be very hard to balance those personalities sometimes. Some personalities are a lot more difficult than others. I also spent a good deal of time working with children who have disabilities. One of the families I worked for full-time had a son who was born deaf, and he was able as a baby, or a toddler rather, to get cochlear implants. And so he had those, and they were very high maintenance, and he was very high maintenance just individually. And so that was a challenge. The mother in that situation was very type A. She wanted to go to work and be at work, but she wanted to be completely in charge at home, even though I was in charge at home, and wanted it to be completely equal, which it never was going to be. So dealing with those high expectations of a parent can be very stressful, because you'll have a different approach than they will sometimes. And definitely it's important to find the right fit with the family, because although I loved that family and I loved the children, that stress of the mother having a different level of expectation of how to do things than what I felt was the right way to do things was very difficult. Some of my most rewarding experiences were, I worked for a time for the state I helped families who had children with disabilities, but also had children who didn't have disabilities. And I was basically a mother's assistant, but the state pays for that. I can tell you from the state, just a bottom requirement was that I had my certified nursing assistant license. And because I had that, I made about $9 an hour. And this was about 8 or 9 years ago. So I can imagine that's increased a bit. But that was a wonderful experience. Also, the duties there, it would vary. I would either be working with a child with disabilities. One of the families had a little boy who had seizures constantly, like every few seconds. So he was 7 years old, I think, when I was taking care of him, and he was in a chair, and you had to try to feed him when he was having his seizures and calm him down for naps, and we'd sit on a bouncy ball and rock him and take care of him. Or if the mother was working with him, I would help with the other 2 children. She had a 3-year-old and a newborn. And so the benefit, I think, is that it was never boring. It was constantly changing. There was always new challenges and new successes, new victories, to celebrate with the children, with the families. I loved working with families individually, being able to help them one-on-one, being able to have a relationship with the children and be able to feel like I was influencing them in a positive way, made it very worthwhile. I really enjoyed this career, and it's something, I'm a mother now, so I'm professionally nannying for free for my own kids, but as they grow up, I would definitely consider, and especially if I had a degree, I would definitely consider nannying again in the future. It is a wonderful career as far as I'm concerned. There are stressors and difficult things, but I really think that in the end it's a very worthwhile endeavor, and one where I feel like I was making a very positive difference in lives, and I really enjoyed that. I think, looking over, I think that I pretty much covered it. I mean, it talks about common job tasks, anything that comes with taking care of a child, food preparation, helping with homework, being a mentor and a friend, a listening ear, discipline. Of course, ultimate discipline, comes from the parent, but that's kind of a thing that you have to know where to draw the line. Time out, they can't walk all over you, so there has to be an element of discipline, and you need to know where to draw that line and work that out with the family too. So anyways, if that's a career that interests you, hopefully I provided some good information. Thank you. Goodbye.